Hello and welcome back. My name is Ian Currey and this is Thinking Out Loud. Who are your heroes? Do you have any? You know, those people you look up to and really respect. Well, today I'm thinking about a very special person who helped change the way I think just by being who they were. Come on, let me tell you what I think. Go. Not long ago, while riding through a storm for rather a long time, I noticed all sorts of things were rattling around and swaying as the aircraft was buffeted by turbulent air outside. Since the crew had to stay strapped in for what seemed like ages, I had time to have a think about motion and energy. You can tell how my brain works. That swaying curtain reminded me of a pendulum as it swung back and forth. Now, some of you will definitely not like turbulence, but it usually gives us crew a chance to catch up and have a natter or have a think about something or other. Now, this time I had to think about how a pendulum works. Well, with me, you've probably noticed that thinking often turns to playing, and once again this week I've been playing in the garage with Robert. We waited for Hillary to go shopping and then got out there and did stupid stuff, as Robert likes to call it. We came up with this. It's interesting, isn't it? Do you see the shapes there? Triangles and diamonds and some interesting patterns. This one here you'd be sure is a right-angled triangle made of straight lines, but of course it isn't. Would you like to see how we made it? I thought so. Well, first I rigged up a rope on a hook in the ceiling. Now, I probably should have gotten a longer ladder, but you know how we boys are. I had Robert find an old paint pot and tied it to the end of the rope, and that made a pendulum. First we tried a few experiments that proved the laws of physics, thankfully. A pendulum cannot swing higher than the point from which it is released. I was in no danger of getting hit in the head by a paint pot, but it's still scary seeing it swing towards you at speed before gravity does its thing. Then, since the paint pot was old and was already hanging on the rope, we tried out something else. Well, let me show you. Oh, yuck.
That's not even paint.
It's yucky paint, isn't it?
Not even paint, it's just...
Goop.
Yeah, it's good.
It really makes a big mess, but I'm going to have to try it again another time one of these days. And that is how this came to be. You might have guessed, but most people wouldn't have tried it, I don't expect. I said at the start I was going to tell you about one of my heroes. Well, first, let me show you something else I've been working on. I'd lost this for several years, but it's something that I've been working on, and I really need to complete it somehow. It needs to get finished. Can you see what it is? No? Well, let me show you the other side. Impressed? Well, actually, so am I. My eyes are not as good as they need to be for that stuff, and neither is my patience. But if you've looked at the side I showed you first, you might not see the whole picture. Although I'm told mine is remarkably neat. My effort is tiny in comparison to some, though. I have a good friend who owns a mill that uses shuttles like this one to throw the threads from one side to the other of huge looms. Now his fabric is very special. Well, the hero I want to tell you about had a favourite poem about this very thing. It was written by someone called Florence May Alt, and often called the Weaver. Let me quote it for you. "My life is but a weaving between my God and me. I cannot choose the colours he weaves so steadily. Oft times he weaves in sorrow, and I, in foolish pride, forget he sees the upper, and I the underside. Not till the loom is silent and the shuttles cease to fly will God unroll the canvas and reveal the reason why. The dark threads are as needful in the weaver's skillful hand as the threads of gold and silver in the pattern he has planned. He knows, he loves, he cares. Nothing this truth can dim. He gives the very best to those who leave the choice to him." Now, Corrie ten Boom, my hero, often quoted this poem. It's rather good, isn't it? Now, if you don't know the story of Corrie ten Boom, you really must read her story or visit her house in Haarlem in the Netherlands. It's one of the most wonderful places I've ever been to, and tells how she and her family hid Jews in their home during the Second World War. Growing up, I read her story in a book called The Hiding Place. And if you haven't read that, it is indeed a story that shows just how remarkable a person she was. I often think of her about this time of year because we shared a birthday. Corrie died on her birthday too, so of course I always am aware of her influence on my life around this time of year. Corrie ten Boom describes her struggle for forgiveness of people that had done such evil things to her family and many other Jews, but goes on to say how fulfilling that forgiveness was once complete. Now, Psalm 37 is very relevant to this story. Let me show you. It starts off by saying, "Don't worry about the wicked or envy those who do wrong." And later in the same psalm it says, "Don't worry about evil people who prosper." So let's not worry about those parts of this psalm. Instead, let me show you what I noticed there instead. First of all, I noticed another of those patient references that I'm not at all good at. Do you see it there? Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Then later, the Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Oh, that's interesting. We so often hear the devil's in the details, and yet here we're reading that God delights in every detail of our lives. How cool is that? The psalm tells us two more things too. First, there's a hint of who we should have as heroes and role models. And it says, "Look at those who are honest and good." And then, "Put your hope in the Lord. Travel steadily along his path. He will honor you." And that traveling steadily along the path is where I want to leave you today. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't get tired of doing the next right thing. Press on and travel steadily. Until next time, goodbye.